Happy Sunday to the St. Louis City SC fans and ball watchers out there. It's a different type of Sunday following our first draw of the season coming against Colorado Rapids last night. Not the prettiest game for anyone to watch last night, the casual fan or the City fan alike. I think we can all kind of say that was just a tough thing to look at last night, just ugly kind of all the way around.
Yeah, it was a fun game to watch. I will say it was very exciting, up and back, a lot of shots. Unfortunately, most of them were not for us. So probably not the best for City fans, but I mean, it was an exciting soccer game. I'll say that.
It was. So today for you all, welcome to everyone joining. If you're in here on YouTube, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. We appreciate it. Helps us get to more people that are interested in this type of content. And if you're listening to us on podcast, throw us a rating. We don't have many that we've garnered since like our first couple of months. So if you like what you hear, and throw us a 5-star review. If you want to give us some feedback, throw us a comment. We'd love to hear from you all. So quick plug there before we get into it. But today we've got a dual episode for you all. We've got a Colorado Rapids recap from last night, kind of a postmortem. And then we've got a preview of our match coming up on the week on Tuesday against Union Omaha in our inaugural U.S. Open Cup match. So we got a little bit of that as well. So dual episode today. But before we get started, Justin, we always try to do our best to summarize last night's feelings or the game or the team into one word. And Justin, you know what? I'm going to go first this time. I think we give it to you first. I'm going to go first.
Okay.
I had so many words, dude. I was bouncing around on that. I'm just like, I wanted to have some fun with this because
that's for sure. That's my problem too. I just have so many words in my head.
So many options.
Can't get them on paper. I know.
So many options. The one I'm going to go for here is not a fancy one. I think last night, to describe our experience and our team, we were just bested. We were second best in everything. I looked at our stats last night, Justin. I put a couple things in here for us too. And usually they put the little color next to the team that had the better of that stat. Every single stat line, almost every single stat line went to the Colorado Rapids. It's pretty bad. It was
the only four I saw that too. The only four that we had were shots outside the box. We had 4, they had 3. Blocks, we had 3, they had 2. Clearances, we had 20, they had 17. But then we had keeper saves, which we're going to talk a lot about. We had 12, they had 3.
Yeah, it was not fun. We were just second best to everything last night. That's just a way to describe the game. So that, bested is mine.
Okay. All right. I originally had one that was not very extensive. So it was just going to be sweaty. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to Google synonyms for sweaty. First one that came up, moist. Was not going to use that. So did not want to. Sorry, I even said it. I went with formidable. Something that I have definitely never used in my vocabulary before. And I thought the game was formidable. It's causing fear. That was a little bit of a scary game. Every time that they went on offense and they had a chance, it was a very real chance, and Berkey had to save us out. That happened just way too often, in my opinion. So formidable is my word, Jake.
Formidable. That's fair. I mean, Colorado ended up being a pretty formidable opponent, man. I think we kind of downplayed them a little bit. I know you were thinking we were going to roll right over them. It just, did not happen last night. So, Justin, let's get into a little bit of the highlights. I wrote a lot down, but I'm talking about moments, and there was a lot of moments of, some nice things here and there. And so let's talk about some of the positives first. So for me, I think last night I saw a couple things early on. You saw some exciting elements of Klaus's hold-up play in some of the early first minutes of the game, relieving pressure for us. Berkey standing up tall. That was in the 6th minute. I wrote that down. That was basically how it was the rest of the game for us. Just even on if you take the saves that he actually made and then add the ones that he made on offsides calls, which were called 30 seconds after the offsides infraction was made, this guy probably had 20. I mean, his saves on the offsides plays were incredible.
At least. And I would say some of those saves should count as like 5. The man, He was everywhere. The kick saves, especially. That man, and a lot of the times, and we'll talk more specifically, but a lot of the times he didn't even give up rebounds. Or if he did, he pushed him out for a corner. Either that or he held them completely, which is just so impressive. And we talked about it a little bit more last episode. I thought we both predicted we were going to shut them out. And that's because I thought Berkey was going to have a big stand-up game. And he did. He absolutely delivered. Unfortunately, the rest of the guys didn't.
Yeah.
But let's keep going. Let's keep going on highlights first. I will say there were some highlights that we did have. So on the 10th minute, Stroud had a touch control, a nice pass through. We did create some chances in that sense, more in the second half. But then another one, on the D line, they were flat-footed, but the 13th minute we were caught out, but Johnny does enough to relieve the pressure and push us forward to an attack, which was great. And another big kick save by Berkey literally a minute later in the 14th.
Another thing I saw too, Justin, getting into like the half hour mark right before, getting into halftime is we were already kind of on the back foot. We were under pressure. And something I wanted to note, more of a veteran type move that excites me is we had a corner kick and Leuven purposely kind of took his time on the corner kick. And I think it kind of frustrated Colorado. And for those that look at that and say, oh, he's just wasting time, there's a lot more to it there for me. It's that we have struggled to get out the entire game so far. He's kind of just opening up the cap a little bit and letting some pressure off and letting us get some momentum back onto our side, because that first half, the tides, the wind, every single thing was going against us. Colorado looked like Barcelona in their prime. Hats off to them. They looked incredible. Their tactics were set up for success. And we were, like I said, second best to everything, especially in that first half. So, but that Leuven moment was something that I noticed. Just said, hey, that's leadership. That's someone that's trying to help the boys in any way possible, even if it's just wasting some time.
Jake, you cannot call Colorado Barcelona in their prime. They have 7 points in 9 games.
They do, but last night we made them look like that. That's what I'm saying.
We made them. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fine. I'll take it. Yeah. And then there really wasn't any other highlights in the first half. Second half, pretty much the first 10 minutes wasn't a whole lot. But then the Stroud goal, the Alm goal, the service by Stroud on the left, great ball by Stroud right after. And we'll talk about the low light that he missed an absolute sitter, literally like 5 minutes before that. Great ball, great finish by Alm. It was great to see. And I mean, I think he even could have sent it over to Klaus. Klaus had a little bit of an opening there as well. So that was a great finish by those guys.
Yeah, and you know who I actually liked last night? To get into highlights on the subs, is the subs overall I didn't like, but I thought when Indy came in at halftime, he actually brought some composure back to the midfield. The Akil Watts experiment didn't work out yesterday. It was a tough thing to throw him into, and I think bringing Indy back got a little momentum shift for us, a much needed kind of heavier weight in the midfield that I think has more experience in that position. So that was good for us. We had some solid counterattacks last night from their set pieces, a couple flowing moves where we had some good passes, some good outlets, and created some opportunities there. Not much coming from other realms, unfortunately. Otherwise, every other highlight I have here, Justin, is Berkey.
Yeah, I was gonna say that we did have some great counters, and it's weird to be like, well, we didn't have any great like build-up chances. We don't have those as a team. So I'm not surprised that we don't have any to talk about specifically on this game. Those are not really the team that we are. We are going to have counters. We're going to press. We're going to fly. We're going to go right at them. Not a lot of passes. I mean, what was our total amount of passes in the game? We had, sorry, I'm looking, 358, yeah. Only 261 completed. They had 470 and 386. So that's just our style. But then I agree. Everything that I pretty much had notes on was Berkey. He had a great kick save in the 73rd, another huge, great hands on the corner, and then the 91st, another rebound or another save where he did not rebound it at all in the 91st or 90th +1, which there was +8 minutes of stoppage.
Where did that come from?
I don't know.
Who was keeping that time? That's one of my lowlights. I literally saw the 8 minutes flash up with the fourth official when he put that up, and I'm like, who decided that? It didn't feel like there was any basis for that.
I completely agree. I mean, it only took them 2 minutes to score their goal, so fine. But we still had to weather the storm for the next 6.
Oh, you know what it felt like to me, Justin? It was like the World Cup. Remember when they were doing stoppage time, legitimate? Yeah.
Like you wanted to do? Yeah, you just want to play another game. Like, while we're out here, let's just do it.
Holy cow, man! Oh, that was one of my lowlights, and that's a great segue. Let's get into some of those. XG last night, for those that care about expected goals, they had 2.01. Colorado did in the first half. They only ended up with 2.78. I think we had negative XG in the first half, and we didn't actually, but I think 0.11, which is just about equal to that. And then we had a better response in the second half. We had the Stroud sitter, which accounted for probably 90% of our XG that he missed, but then he redeemed himself, and he did great service to all on that goal. Otherwise, man, every stat, like we said, kind of went against us. XG, shots on target, big chances, passes. Not that passes are, that important, but most of our passes were in our own half, which is never great. We weren't very accurate on our long balls. It's just, you looking down here, there's not much to look at that's very redeeming.
I will say the one thing we just got to keep remembering, Jake, is we snuck out of there with a point, which is
we did.
It sounds like we took an absolute L, but we got a point, so fine.
No pun intended. That's the best point of our highlights, is us getting a point, like legitimately stealing the bag from Colorado. I would be so bummed this morning waking up a Rapids fan and wondering how we let that slip.
Yeah, completely agree. And we're going to have those games. Yes, they're lower in the table. And yes, we both thought we were just going to blow them out of the water, but it's still a road game. It's a tough game. It was cold. It literally snowed like 5 inches the night before. So tough for them. I will say, and when we were talking about, before we get into the full list of lowlights, I would say the biggest one on stats, they had 6 big chances missed is what they have. We had 1, which we know what that was, and we'll talk about that specifically, but 6. And I wouldn't say that they missed them. I don't think they missed any of them. It was all Roman Berkey. The man just was covering the entirety of the goal. And on the goal that they scored, there was nothing he could do there. I mean, it was a rocket on the near post, but 6 big chances missed. We cannot allow 6 big chances in a game, period, and expect to win.
No, we can't. And when we didn't, man, I mean, last night, just everything kind of felt off. Like our press wasn't very active. We were going long a lot. Our midfield was Swiss cheese last night, especially in the first half. I mean, they were cutting through us so easily with one pass, maybe 2. Their long balls were effective. They won every second ball. I literally counted for like 10 or 15 minutes on the long balls and the ball after that initial header. They were on everything. We were second best to everything when it comes to that. And you got to win those second balls. That's how you get chances. That's how you get momentum. We were so flat. It hurt so bad.
Yeah, you're cracking me up. I don't know why today. That's the Swiss cheese comment. But let's get into the minutes, the specific ones. The 8th minute, press not active with long balls. 13th minute, D-line caught up in no man's land. 15th minute, midfield wide open. Yes, we're still only 15 minutes of the game as we talk through these. The 16th minute, there's a back heel, and they had a run across the middle. Probably definitely one of their big chances missed off the outside of the post. They should have finished that one. And then I'll kick it back to you after on the literally our only option in those first 20 minutes was going long. And it's yes, that is a little bit of our style play, but we have to also be able to not just go long in the air. It's got to be passes to feet and Klaus holding the ball up. And we didn't see a whole lot of that last night.
No, there wasn't much dribbling either. Sometimes I get the long ball. Sometimes it wasn't working last night. Or you can beat him with your passing, or you can beat him with just dribbling. Like take a chance, go dribble to the middle, or go take a guy on, go do a little 1v1. We just looked devoid of any sort of creativity last night, especially for the first half. So that was frustrating. Obviously, Stroud missed his sitter. That was a bummer. There was a couple instances of some of our back line, getting caught flat-footed, which is exactly what happened in their equalizer of a goal. There were some misplayed clearances where Justin, I always get caught between two minds here. I hated it, and I saw it a couple of times last night where there's a big clearance and it gets a lot of air. It's big loft time. And as a defender, for me, I would think to just first time head that ball or kick that ball on as it comes down forward. I'm not letting that drop and let the defender close me down and put me under pressure. I feel like that happened a lot last night. That's a small thing, but we lost every single time we let that ball bounce last night.
So that was one of them, actually. This one, I don't even think we let bounce twice. It was the 73rd minute. Johnny had a ball in the corner, or up and around our half on the left side, and the ball was bouncing, and it was about chest high, and he tried to take it with his foot, and he should just ran through it and just end it right there. And that's what the attacker did. He ran through the ball and then went on and had a great chance against Berkey. Had to make a nice kick save. But that is one where we just have to get through the ball. You don't have to be cute when it comes to that sense. And that's a tough one, especially for Johnny right there. It's like a chest ball. It's kind of like a little bit too high for your foot. So you have to wait a little bit, but I think right there, you got to run it. And I will say, Tyler had a good comment in here. He said, I like how Celio took y'all's advice and took the yellow to stop the counter in their half in the second half. I believe that was in the 79th minute, which is great to see. I agree with that. That was a note that I had, that these guys are actually starting to do that. And you can't, especially on the road, you have to end those counters at the half line or in their half, and then just take the yellow and just jog back and just take the air out of the game.
Hey, Justin, I'm seeing a lot of comments too in here about, just, being happy with the point. Let's be excited we got one versus none. And by the way, that's the undertone here. For me, we were a bandit to escape with that one point. It was amazing. Like, I cannot believe we got that. And I'm sure we'll look back on that and say, thank God, because we were on the ropes. We could have been finished. But for a team to get a point out of that game, you got to give some sort of level of respect and kudos to the team for just grinding that out and making it ugly and just getting what you can out of that and maximizing the output. But I'm not going to sit here and sugarcoat it either, because I'm not all about results. I think you hear Carnell and Lutz talk about the process. If we're talking last night's process, it was ugly, man. So there's a lot of stuff to be done this week for the team to come back and look at the film and analyze what happened and see what we can do to fix this. Because right now, when we're second best in these games, that's fine. We're going to be second best sometimes, but we've got to be able to adjust. And I don't think we've shown an ability to do that just yet. I think when we are showing that we're not up to it so far in the first half. That's just how it's going to be the rest of the game, which is not how it needs to be for this team and not how it can be for us to go far. So we need to find a way to adjust and tactically with different subs and personnel. And so far, that to me is the biggest thing missing for us, is the ability to respond and be able to tactically or make subs to make an impact on the game and change how it's going. Because right now, the writing's on the wall very early in the game.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I don't think do you have any other specific lowlights to talk about here? I think we kind of covered it.
The goal was frustrating. Obviously, it just kind of just happened. Everyone's kind of just watching the ball watching a little bit, flat-footed. It was just frustrating. And that's how we conceded. But you know what? They had it coming. They had it coming the whole night. So deserved for them.
I mean, Berkey was absolutely livid when that goal went in, because at the back line, and respectfully so. I think the back line, if I remember it correctly, it was a ball played through, and we had, I think it was Pedro and Hebert. They both stepped to the same guy. Neither of them took the runner. I think it technically should have been Hebert's runner that he stuck with. And the guy, I feel like he just closed his eyes and rocketed as hard as he could, because I didn't think that finish was that great. And it was like chest high inside of Berkey. But I mean, like, when I said finish that great, nothing Berkey could have done. He was literally 5 yards from him and just hit it as hard as he could to the near post. So last low light, but obvious man of the match is Roman Berkey with career high 12 saves, most in the MLS so far. I think he looked incredible. I think not only from the saves, but the parries that he had. We already talked about, if he even had parries, a lot of times he's able to hold on to it. But some of those kick saves or blocks off his body, he was able to deflect either wide or out for a corner, which is way better than it going back to the middle.
Yeah, he was the all-state safe hands player last night, man. The guy was just, and people look at it, for anyone that doesn't know goalkeeping or soccer, you might look at his saves last night and be like, oh, they were all hit right at him. And to a certain degree, yeah, you're right. They were hit within his body frame, but it takes work and experience to get to that position in the first place. And by him just making those look so easy, that's the sign of a good goaltender. It's not the guy that just high flying, making those sweet looking saves. It's the guy that makes those saves look easy.
You said Allstate, and that cracked me up too. I don't know what's going on today, but the kick save, that man's got to be bruised and sore today. He was doing the splits. He was making kick saves, taking saves off his thigh. So obviously an incredible game, and that's what we signed him for. So as we're talking to him, I mean, we're talking about him already. He had an 8.3. If we get into the specifics of kind of ratings for player ratings, by far man of the match, not even close. No one even comes close to that. When we move up to the back line, not a great game from those fellas either. I think the fact that Berkey had to make so many saves. If we want to give us a little props there, we did have 3 blocks. I don't even know if that all goes to the back line. So that's still not that much. And Berkey had to make 12 saves. They had a total of 21 shots in total. And so I don't think the back line as a whole did very well. If we want to talk about individuals, I mean, I don't really, did you have anything specific?
No, let's keep
the lowest. I would say the lowest of the back line last night, I would say, was Nerwinski. There was a couple times where he was caught up ball watching, or he wasn't tracking his guy, and a lot of those chances were coming down the right side on his side, in my opinion.
Yeah, Berkey earns my first A+ this season. I don't think I'm giving one out. A+ performance from him. Backline, I'm giving a D. It was not pretty last night. It just wasn't. They just looked like they should have conceded 17. So they looked so far from comfortable. Our midfield in the first half, D. I think in the second half, maybe a C. There was a little bit more generation last night in the second half, and there was a little bit more life to the team, but it wasn't working. Specifically, I will call out one player. Actually, both wingers for me, Stroud and Alm, actually did okay. Alm especially. I think Alm, like I said, like my DH and our lineup in our fun episode this past week, I think we're just getting to the real fun part of Rasmus Alm. This guy is productive, man. He looks really dangerous. I think he's finding his form. So I'm really excited to see how he continues to develop. But for me last night, if you weren't going to give it to Berkey, but Berkey totally, like, by far and away the best man on the field last night for me, I think Rasmus Alm is really finding himself.
I completely agree. I think, and he's been a workhorse on the right side as well. So it's good to see, and he should be starting. And I think he's giving it his all, and that's why he came off in the 78th minute. And then that's just a tactical change at that point. There was no reason why he needed to come off there. And then, I mean, I thought Stroud did all right on the left side. I didn't see much out of Leuven, unless you disagree.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't like anything special, and it wasn't like, oh, we don't talk about him because he did his job. I think he did an average job. I literally can't say one highlight out of Leuven from either a stop or a great play or a great service or anything like that. The only thing you mentioned was him being slow on a corner to take the air out of the game on purpose. And then looking at the top two with Nico and Klaus, I don't have a highlight for either of them either. So it just kind of not even there, in my opinion. I would say the only, I mean, we talked about Stroud already with the great assist. Definitely should have finished that sitter. I don't even know how you missed the goal on that, but
rough. But you know what? He made up for it though, which I appreciate. Like that was literally a minute later. He put his head down, said, I needed to finish that. Then he delivers a peach of a cross to Rasmus Alm.
Why is it a peach?
Because it was beautiful. You never heard of peach? Just heard of
I just said, why is it a peach? You just muted yourself. I said why, and you should mute yourself after saying it was a peach. Have you ever seen? And then I said, have you ever? And then you go, have you ever seen a peach? It was beautiful. Since when are peaches beautiful?
Oh, Justin, we have some work to do on your vocab. Anyone that has heard a peach of something in the comments, let us know. It
was an absolute pineapple.
It's not unique to soccer.
It was such a grape.
So looking at the game, we predicted 2-0W on my side, 3-0W on your side. Wrong. And it probably should have been very, very ugly. But you know what? Get that out of the way, or escape with the draw, whatever way you can. Good for us to get points. So I think where do we go from here? Obviously, we also lost all of our first half draw hit. Actually, first half draw hit for me. I don't even think we were able to get to those, Justin, because I guess
what do you mean we lost all of our bets?
What did you hit?
Bets. I smacked the double chance -135.
Oh, the draw.
That was the Grahammer.
Yeah,
that was the one. It was either draw or win at -135 is just rude on the books.
I thought you bet draw no bet.
Oh no, I did bet draw no bet. So that's that's a push though, not an L. And then also I did have the over 1.5 goals and the over 8.5 corners, random 9 total corners. I just was doing this all while I was driving back. Double chance we hit. We talked about that. All right, maybe that's it.
Hey, we're seeing the comments, Justin. Everyone's on my side with the peach. So just a heads up for you.
Yeah, that was an absolute grapefruit. What an orange of a game. Wow, right. Those strawberries crosses.
Okay. We'll get you there at some point. We'll get you there. But overall, be happy with the point. Be very, very happy with the point. It was lucky and hit the film room this week, boys. I know we have the game on Tuesday. I really hope to not see many first teamers. We're going to talk about that game right now. I just really hope that the first team kind of hits the film room, recovers from what just happened this past week, and focuses on Saturday. Maybe a couple first teamers you expect to see at least on the bench in the match against Union Omaha. I'm not saying you deprioritize this, by the way. I'm saying you take it seriously, but you let some players that haven't gotten the most minutes or a chance be given a chance. One, because your players are tired, and two, because these guys deserve this, and this is a team that you should be with your second team for sure.
Absolutely, and it's still going to be an important game. It's our first ever Open Cup game, so we got to win it, in my opinion. And we'll just to get into the details of all, but yeah, Berkey just sit in the ice bath until Saturday. Joao, I'm assuming he'll be. Yeah, what are your thoughts on that?
I haven't heard anything on it recently.
He won't even be on the bench on Tuesday. I promise you that. Not even if he was healthy, we don't need him there.
He's walking around in bubble tape this week, man. This cannot be happening to us right now. We cannot afford for him to go down like this right now.
No, completely agree. But yeah, let's get into the specifics. Union Omaha.
Yeah, so Union Omaha plays in USL League One.
And before we get into specifically to Union Omaha, Jacob, a quick just 30 seconds on Open Cup. Sorry,
so the Open Cup,
but we got some detail on that. Just why are we playing on a Tuesday? Like some people are like, oh, these tickets are finally reasonable. It's like, well, it's a USL game.
Yeah, we talked about it, Justin. I'm trying to remember what episode we talked about the Open Cup more specifically, but really a cup competition is a domestic competition. It's not really specific to a certain league or tier. So for us, US Open Cup is open to pro leagues in the United States. So you've actually seen St. Louis has a couple of titles to its name. I believe Kuda's Funeral Home has a U.S. Open Cup title to its name because we've just had teams. My dad won a U.S. Open Cup with Bush back in the day in the 80s. So St. Louis specifically has a footprint here, but really it's a competition that's open to all kind of leagues in the U.S. for soccer that are professional. And it's your chance at glory. And some teams make big historic runs. We saw St. Louis FC make a run, I believe back in 2019. They knocked off some MLS teams, made a fantastic run at it. But it's an exciting way to put teams on a level playing field and say, let's see what these lower level teams can do to the MLS teams. The MLS teams treat this, I'd say, in the early parts as a way to get minutes to the younger players or to the players that aren't playing much. And then as you get deeper into the tournament, there's a trophy in the line, man. There's US Open Cup trophy. It's not a thing to look past. It's exciting. People do prioritize it, especially later on as you get into the knockouts and really into the deeper phases of the tournament. But it's an exciting way for us to show and showcase U.S. soccer at every level.
It's a massive tournament. I was looking at it. So we are one of 8 games on Tuesday, and then there's another 16 games on Wednesday. So that makes 48 teams are in this thing. This round that's going through right now, there will be no MLS versus MLS that I'm seeing. It'll just be USL versus MLS, or maybe even some USLs versus USLs, or USL League LC
League One.
versus League One. Yeah,
Championship versus League One. Yeah,
there you go. Thank
the
you.
USL is broken up.
Also, what is the NISA?
NISA. Yeah, it's another professional league.
Thank you for just making it a word. Yeah,
it is. That's what it's called. So NISA, MLS Next Pro, USL League One all make up Tier 3 of U.S. soccer pyramid. USL Championship is in Tier 2. MLS is in Tier 1.
And MLS Next Pro.
MLS Next Pro is in Tier 3. So it's equal to USL League One in terms of professional level. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. So this, realistically puts that a little bit in perspective. MLS Next Pro, USL League One should be kind of on equal footing in terms of skill level.
Kind of funny. It makes sense that they wouldn't have put the MLS Next Pro teams in here, because that's basically like our feeder team. But it'd be kind of funny if our Next Pro team played our pro team.
So we played last year in the Open Cup. That was our first actual game, but it was City 2 because City wasn't playing.
Because City wasn't in it. But I'm saying like this year, like what if somehow we met in the Open Cup of City versus City 2?
Would have been cool. It's unfortunate.
They don't have that. None of them are in there, but that's probably why, because then you just have so many guys in the field. You're looking at injuries.
How important is it? Depends on who you ask. I think for the teams that are outside of the MLS, it is the coolest competition to play in, because there's a real legit trophy on the line, and you go, stack yourself up against some really solid teams in the US. For MLS teams, it depends on how deep you are in the tournament. If you lose in the first round, you're like, all right, well, that's fine. I don't have to play another midweek game. So, but when you get deeper on, it gets a lot more important. So it really depends on kind of who you're asking or who you're talking to about it. But it's a historic competition, been going on since the early 1900s. So I think the oldest soccer competition in the United States. And for Union Omaha, they're, like I said, Tier 3, USL League One. They're a team that I believe started in 2020. Jay Mims was the man that they brought from the University of Nebraska, Omaha, to create this program, a team kind of like their Lutz Pfannenstiel. And he's a St. Louis Billiken grad, which is awesome, and built them. They finished second during their first ever season, only for COVID to ravage their team like a couple days before the finals, and then canceled the final entirely. So no one won in their first season. Then they actually went on to win in 2021 in the league. And last year, they made a run, dude, at the U.S. Open Cup. I'm trying to think who they knocked off here. They made it to the quarterfinals. They were the first third division team to do so since Orlando did it in 2013. They knocked off the Fire and Minnesota United before the S-words out west just absolutely murked them 6-0. But
you mentioned Mims as a Billiken. Also, shout out Devin Boyce and Tyler David. They played for Union Omaha. They were also Billikens. And shout out to Austin Poncho. He was not a U grad, but also from St. Louis. So we have a little connection there.
Yeah, we do.
Not a whole lot to do in Omaha, so I guess they play soccer.
Yeah. And this year for them, Justin, early on in the season, they've only played 4 games in terms of the league. They've got 1 win, 1 loss, and 2 draws, 4 goals for, 3 against. I'm not going to tell you that there's a lot out there that we can do in terms of scouting on this team. They're middle of the USL League One table. There's 12 total teams. They've got a couple players that some have some more names than others, but this kind of league is a little bit of a ground where you're caught in the middle of veterans that just want to keep playing, that aren't good enough for Tier 1 anymore or Tier 2. And you've got young guys that want to prove themselves and are trying to make their way up through the ranks. So there's a mix of that in this team. And so I grabbed a couple players, not that many will recognize these names, but this just kind of highlights that disparity. But Connor Doyle is kind of their distributor, their central midfielder. He's a 31-year-old Irishman born in Texas. Did you hear that? That is the weirdest combination.
What?
Yeah, he's Irish, but he's born in Texas, like Irish. He's not like I'm 20% Irish. He's like Irish. Gotcha. So yeah, right. He's been around. He played for DC, played for Colorado in the MLS, made his way to the championship, played for Derby County in England, played in the USL. He won a US Open Cup even in 2012, 2013 season. So that's the type of guy that's, probably at the twilight of his career, still playing, still contributing. And they have a guy like Noah Meza, who's their central forward. He's 25 years old, graduated from Seattle University, played in the cup with them, and he's got a goal so far this season, 6 chances created, big creator for them. And the last one I'll mention, Justin, is Luis Gil. And this is kind of a deep cut for anyone that's a big national team fan. This guy got some caps for the U.S. men's national team, I believe, man, back in 2014, post World Cup or maybe pre World Cup. He participated in the U20 and U17 World Cup for the States and is now playing for Union Omaha. He's one of their highest kind of shooters, and he's 29 years old, American Mexican. But how crazy is that? You got a guy with U.S. men's national team caps at 29 years old playing in the USL League One.
So that's what I'll say. I know you mentioned it's kind of like one of those leagues, especially with MLS Next Pro now, that it's guys that originally, if you would have got drafted by an MLS team and if you didn't make the first team, you would play for like USL. But now with MLS Next Pro, that's where that is. But these guys, and like and yes, it's a lower quality of soccer. It's still good. Like, this is going to be a tough game. These guys are going to be amped for Tuesday, playing in an MLS game, nationally televised, playing in St. Louis. Weather's going to be great. Fans are going to be bumping. So it's not going to be like, they're just not going to show up and roll over, especially then they know that like we are just coming off an awful game on Saturday. We're going to have to watch out for these guys on Tuesday.
Oh, 100%. This is the team that has zero to lose. This is one of those, you cannot just take this game not seriously. You can't walk in just expecting to win. They're not going to hand anything to you. In fact, they would love to ruin your day and move on to the tournament and eliminate you. So there is nothing to be taken lightly about this team. In terms of play, Justin, I tried to scrap up some whatever I could in terms of how they'll bring it to us. But they're coached by Dominic Casiato. It's his first season. Spent his last two as an assistant for USL Championship side El Paso Locomotive. They're a hardworking kind of blue-collar group, kind of like St. Louis in the sense that they try to encapsulate the town they play in. And Omaha is kind of like St. Louis a little bit in that way. They don't need to have a ton of the ball. They're going to try to make it hurt, be high tempo, play very quickly, high pace. They have some good players, and that could make a big difference out there. So this is not a team to take lightly. They do play two tiers below us, but we need to play them like they are playing first tier.
Yeah, and Mim said that they literally will be playing a high tempo, 100 miles per hour, very high pace, keep the game going, and that's what we play. So it's going to be a fun clash. I know. I don't know if there's really anything else. They conceded the third least amount of goals, average in goals 4 through that. They take the most shots. But I mean, I think it's still, like we said, it's USL, so it's hard to dig up some stuff. But definitely not a game to take lightly.
It's not a game to take lightly, Justin. But we need to show who I think. We talked about this, I think, on our episode this past week. But who's going to start for us? I don't have a graphic for us today, Justin, but what we kind of rattled off the players that we thought would take the field on Tuesday in this team. And I think there should be at least significant rotation. And my thought on this would be to kind of start from the back. And actually, you know what? I do have a graphic I can show us. So let's pull this up and we'll give you all a little bit of a visual as we kind of prepare for this game. And like I said, I really hope that Carnell takes this chance to blood some new players that haven't gotten the minutes that they probably want so far this season and really give a chance to some guys. So if you're looking at this now for a non-visual, we'll kind of talk you through it. But Ben Lunt obviously should come in at goalkeeper. I do not think Berkey should even dress for this game. I think Lunt should be given.
He should probably put something on, though. I think he has to wear something if he's going to be there.
I would love to put him in the stands, to put him in a coat, keep him warm. This guy's obviously scalding hot right now. Yeah, so good idea for us to give Ben Lunt some minutes. And this guy's a guy that done the championship in the USL. So this is more than a match that he can contribute heavily into. So I'm excited to see him, actually. We haven't seen him at all. So
he's a big dude. I'm excited. 6'6". Yeah, let's see what he can do. Let's look at the back line, too. Samuel Pedro on the left, which I completely agree. He's already starting to get some first team minutes now. Let's get him a start. Josh Yarrow, Bartlett. Yarrow we haven't seen yet on City, but obviously is doing extremely well and carried us last year. City 2. Bartlett has had a couple starts and a couple appearances for City 1. Let's get him a true start here as well. And Akil Watts on the right, I would agree. And let's just mix it up. Like you said, let's bring these guys in. Then you have Indy and Miggy, who we both saw last game, and I think that's a great pairing to throw in there. I wouldn't dress Leuven either. That man's been putting in way too many minutes as it is. And then you look on the left, Isak Jensen, 19-year-old, love it. Thomas Olstrak, you have in the middle, and Celia Pompeo on the right. I love that as well. Just get some fresh blood. And then a Dinnerman. We have not seen a whole lot of a Dinnerman yet this year. So
I checked our injury. I checked our injury report. I didn't see him on there. I haven't heard anything. So if you all have heard anything, let us know. But I think this is a game where he should get the reins. My only thing that I was looking at this, Justin, I saw some comments. I think one from Jack in the comments talking to, I think Jack was on the plane with the City 2 team yesterday as they went to Colorado or 2 days ago. And I think this could be a chance too for Aziel Jackson. I totally didn't think about him when I was putting this lineup together.
That's true.
I think this is a game that maybe you actually either Isak, Jensen, Ostrak, or Pompeo. I could see Jackson probably taking the field and getting not a full 90, but a long stint in this game. And it looks like he told that to Jack. So he's in the plans. We got some insider scoop here, but I'm excited to see some more of him.
Yeah, I would agree. And the only other one we haven't mentioned yet is Jonathan Bell. Could see him come into the back line as well. Maybe he's a big guy, so maybe you put him on and him or a Kill Watch. We'll see on the right. But
yeah, and he made the bench last night too. So
yep.
He's obviously coming back into fitness. So I'm excited to see him as well. But Justin, in terms of predictions for this game, I don't know if we have a line. Do we have any lines yet for betting?
No, there's no odds on DraftKings. There's no odds anywhere else. When you go to the MLS on DraftKings, just goes the next weekend. So I would say that we're probably like a minus 180. Like you put us pretty high, but then I think the books are going to take into account that we're not going to start all the normal guys. So I'd probably put us at that. I would definitely expect some goals here with them being extremely high paced and us as well. We're hopefully going to put someone away, and then we obviously don't have Roman in the back, but we'll see what Luke can do.
Yeah, Luke. And we're at home, and like everything about us needs to show that but that we're going to recover from this, and then we're moving on quickly. So I think everyone's be willing to do that. So I can see this being a little higher scoring affair. I know you put yours down here. I'm going 2-1 on my prediction. I would like to see more goals on our side, but I just don't think our chance creation's been there as recently. I know we put up 5 last week. We were just extremely effective. But I would like to see some more goals for the good in this game. And I would like to see some new goal scorers. Hopefully some young guys maybe get on the board. I would love to see like a Jackson. I'd love to see Tomas Ostrak get his game going. I'm still missing some of that so far this season. Isak Jensen as well. I want to see some young blood goals.
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think do you have any listener questions? I mean, obviously we've had a bunch of comments in here.
Look, did we miss anything, Justin?
I just checked Instagram. Sorry that I definitely exited out of Instagram before the story finished loading. So now it's up there. We're live.
We are live. Actually, I saw something, Justin, on we need Nilsson. And you know what? I agree. Yeah. I agree, man. I don't know who he replaces yet, but Nilsson is a guy that is due back in May. And for those that are wondering, like when in May, that's the best question. If I had the answer for you, I would give it to you. If I had to guess, I bet in early to mid-May, he starts getting some contact drills going, some maybe minutes for City 2, some low priority minutes to get him back into the swing of things. They're not going to just throw him into the mixer in our game schedule. So I think they'll ease him back in because he is so important. I would expect to see him starting every single game for us by late May, early June.
Yeah. As far as who's going to replace, I would take a gander at maybe my suggestion would be pushing Kyle Hebert to the right and taking out Nerwinski.
Interesting. Okay.
I just think, and I don't know how well Kyle does getting up and back on the wings. He's obviously a great center back, but I just think as far as like the best guys in the back, I would keep Hebert in and take Nerwinski out. We'll talk about all that once we get an idea of when he's coming back.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will. Last thing, Justin. So yeah, we'll learn more about Klaus this week, man. I really hope they were just more conservative last time taking him off. I know Carnell mentioned that being precautionary. So man, thoughts and prayers. I'll be sending some up to the big man tonight to hope that there's nothing going on with him because this is not a point we should be able to lose him this season. I don't know who's going to step into those shoes and fill that moving forward. So my thoughts and prayers are with him. We really need Klaus to suit back up.
Completely agree. Before we round out, I'm going to do 2 quick plugs. One, went to the pitch for breakfast on yesterday morning. Watched the Liverpool game, great game. Knotted up with Nottingham Forest. And then went to the Battlehawks game. There's a good amount of people there supporting both soccer and pre-gaming the Battlehawks. Food was phenomenal. That was the first time I had their breakfast. That was so good. I did have another frozen Irish coffee. Yes, it was early in the morning, but it was great. And then plug number 2, Battlehawks, St. Louis. We did show out, sorry. And then the game tonight, unfortunately, the Vegas Vipers have to take down Seattle Sea Dragons, who are at home. Dragons are 9-point favorites, not looking likely. But if somehow the Dragons lose, we make the playoffs. So let's go Battlehawks. And we are Vipers fans.
We are today. And last thing I'll mention, Justin, for all of our fans of U.S. men's national team, it looks like late breaking news that they have hired their new sporting director. So we talked to Ernie Stewart a couple months ago before the World Cup. He has since left and went to PSV. It looks like Matt Crocker from Southampton. Their current director of football operations, who announced he's stepping down after the season, is set to be hired by the federation. Southampton's a club that churns out a lot of stars. They make a lot of good sales. They're probably going to be relegated this season, unfortunately, but they are a good team in terms of their history and the way they do business. So interesting hire. Well, a lot more to come on this one, but Matt Crocker looks like he will be stepping in to fill Ernie Stewart's shoes as sporting director of the United States Soccer Federation.
Jake, that's kind of funny. Aren't you? I think Southampton, they just played, what was that, 2
I don't
days
want to talk
ago?
about it.
What did they, oh,
Don't
that's
want to talk
right.
about
They
it.
tied Arsenal. Talk
Yeah.
about fumbling the bag, Jake. Big
Talk to me
Arsenal
on
fan
Wednesday.
over there.
Talk to me on Wednesday. Arsenal, Man City. For anyone that's just interested in a fun time and watching a good game, Wednesday will be a good game. Arsenal, Man City is basically Super Bowl for this season. Winner gets pole position for the rest of the run-in. I think there's probably going to be 6 or 7 games left following that. So if you're looking for a match to watch after our Union Omaha game on Tuesday, tune in. I think it's on USA or Peacock. Arsenal, Man City should be a big one.
Yeah, I would say Man City looks like a peach right now. Arsenal looks more like some corn or like some broccoli. So
we'll see.
Look forward to it.
We'll see who's featuring on Wednesday. But thank you all for joining today, this lovely Sunday, and for you listening on the week. Have a great week. This is Ball Watching. We will be back. I don't know when yet, Justin, this week. I know we had a game on Tuesday, probably sometime Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday range. We'll try to get something out to you all. Going to be a big week for a lot of different reasons. So looking forward to it, and we'll catch you all soon. Have a hell of a day and week. Take care, Ball Watchers. Jake and Justin, out.
Offer City.